So this is my new favorite build using the Thermaltake P3 curved case. I got the curved one because you can put it on vertically, and when dusting your PC, the dust usually settles on top, right? So cover the top and it keeps it easy to clean. If you mount it on the side like some people do, all the dust will fall in. Nightmare to clean, do not recommend. Anyway, I had this whole video series planned for AMD vs Intel, but honestly, after using the Ryzen 5900X and putting it against the Intel 10850, it's basically the same experience. So yeah, that series would be pointless, unless I was benchmarking the CPUs, which I'm not. To all the people asking if I'll do Ryzen builds again though, the answer is yes. That's why I built one with Intel and one with AMD. They're basically the same systems. I just wanted to see if there was a difference. And in day-to-day use, there isn't. So yeah, my advice is to get whatever you can, because parts are hard to come by. Now let's go through these builds so hopefully you get some inspiration. I chose all the parts, but some companies were nice enough to help me secure some of them, and I paid for the rest. If you can get a 3080, this type of build can hit 350 to even 400 FPS at 1440p in Quake Champions. It's pretty solid with these settings. Now I chose the case because I wanted something that said awesome build just by how it looks, but it actually doesn't just look the part, it's easy to work in too, and I really want to show this feature. I don't know if I'm the first to do it, but if I am, call it the Xi Lights effect. See, I wanted to do something cool with these Corsair RGB strips, because usually I just put them around the front, which is cool but a bit boring now. And then I saw this section at the back behind the radiator, and because the strips are magnetic, you can actually just put them along these rails, and you do that so they're facing the front of the case. And then you look through the radiator and get this cool futuristic depth effect through the fans. The problem with this is, as soon as you put RGB fans on there, you can't really see it anymore. I tested a fair few, was going to go for ring fans, but then I found these Lian Li uni fans. Unfortunately there's not too many of them in Australia, but I jumped on eBay and bought 2 sets of 3. They just connect together, and then you just have 2 cables going from your fans, instead of 6. And the RGB is on the sides, meaning you just have these dark fan blades. If they were dark and slightly transparent, I think they would be perfect for the Xi Lights effect. Still, having the RGB on the sides mean you don't overwhelm the LED strips behind them. I'm really liking this subtle RGB. My accuracy in game has gone up another 20% since using this PC. Speaking of RGB, the P3 case doesn't really allow for many fans to be used, so your RGB will be limited. I got some Rgb Power Supplies from Corsair, the CX750F, only 80 plus bronze, would have liked gold, but I've been using Corsair Power Supplies for years without an issue, so I wanted to stick with them for now. I'll try some others in the future. And if you ever get the chance to get an ASUS Strix 3080, yeah, this card is beautiful in this build, worth it, plus solid performance, although all this coil whine on GPUs these days is pretty annoying. Really doesn't help in an open case. Thankfully it is very pretty, so I'll forgive it. Vertical mounting is really cool too. Looks amazing. See how the RGB goes into the fans? Kind of like the Xi Lights effect. Really fits the theme I was going for in this build. Moving up, Corsair Cooler, again, been using them for years. The software seems to be the best with controlling RGB. I have the Corsair RGB strips plus the cooler, and they've added support for ASUS too, which means I can control all that through the iCue software. The Lian Li software is actually pretty good too, so you can control the unifans okay, but you would have to install some other software for G-Skill RAM, which would be really cool if it got added to Corsair, but Corsair have their own memories, so probably not going to happen. But I really like the G-Skill RAM, so I reached out to them, and they sent out the 64 gig pack of 16, 16, 16, 36, 3600, divided between the 2 systems to give 32 in each. So this part of the video is brought to you by G-Skill, the starting a membership program that will allow you to easily register for warranty, get in on some sales, and win some prizes. The motherboards are both ASUS. I've been having good experiences with them over the last few builds I've worked with, so I chose the Z490E Gaming for the Intel system, and the Crosshair 8 Hero for AMD. And look at this. The Crosshair has all these USB ports. As a content creator that plugs in a lot of USB devices, I hope they start doing this on more motherboards. It's amazing. This video is not sponsored by ASUS at all by the way, but MWAVE is an Australian tech retailer that provided the motherboards for me. So big thanks to MWAVE for their continued support, go check them out. And for the drives, I just bought my usual Samsung NVMe and Seagate for storage. Been using them for years without issues, so happy to stick with them. Anyway, hope you like the builds. I've been looking forward to doing these for over a year, and I finally got the parts I needed. That said, there are a few drawbacks. One, an open case makes the cables out the back really obvious. I've had to hide them behind a monitor. I changed them around too much to really do any proper cable management, so it'll have to suffice. 2, on the ASUS AMD motherboard, it has the USB 3.0 connector on the side, so it's really hard to get in with the fans right next to it. And 3, the riser cable may need to be put in compatibility mode. There's been a bit of talk about that lately, so yeah, be aware. But I think all the pros of working with this case greatly outweigh the negatives. Such a simple overall design, but I'm sure fairly complicated to make. 4 USB ports at the front, wish there was a Type-C there, but that's about it. Everything else is pretty great. So big thanks go out to Corsair, Thermaltake, G-Skill and MWAVE for helping out, and I'm really liking this light effect. Actually, looking at these builds, I think it's cool just having that subtle trim of RGB around the place. I know there's still a fair bit here, but I don't think it's overdone, like my previous builds. Oh, by the way, all the fans and everything use USB, and most motherboards only have 2 headers, so I had to buy these to get all this RGB working. Anyway, hope that helps. Use your links in the description if you want to help support what I do. Subscribe, like and share this video, and I'll catch you in the next.